Truth is, I thought it mattered. I thought that
Money
mattered. But does it bollocks? Not compared to how people matter.
Welcome, Mention and other fine folks, to the Someday Dispatch of the Black Letter, where we contemplate thoughts worth thinking as we try to find our way through this topsy-turvy, upside-down world and onto greener pastures on the other side, however long that might take. Trying to build our best lives, paying down debt, squirreling away some savings, and staying healthy, wealthy, and wise, or at least working towards it. Today we're going to take a look at a bunch of things related to the economy primarily. We'll also look at some precious metals, cryptocurrency information as well, just to see where things landed up over this past week. So welcome to the Saturday Dispatch. U.S. real yields dropped to minus 1% as economic outlook darkens. Well, this was an interesting article. Real yields on U.S. Treasuries hit minus 1% on Friday, reflecting investors' willingness to pay for safe assets. Real 10-year Treasury yields, which remove expected consumer price changes from nominal bond yields, fell minus 1.005% on Friday from 0.979% on Thursday. Yields fall as bond prices rise, as we know. Basically, bonds are in a bull market, arguably a bubble, really, as much of the stock market is as well. I mean, negative real interest rates, which removes expected consumer price changes from nominal bond yields. So basically, you take away what the CPI is and you get the real interest rate rather than the nominal rate, which I think is probably at about 0.5 or so percent, somewhere around there. So, of course, bonds continue to get more expensive because their yield continues to drift lower. So it's a real concern, especially for those trying to find our way into safe assets that provide some sort of interest. Of course, there are none currently, and I wouldn't even consider stocks safe at this stage, at least a lot of them. And it's really like digging through a junk drawer at this stage to find value-based criteria for stocks. So, as you know, what I'm doing is precious metals and cryptocurrencies currently, more so cryptocurrencies. I'm sort of dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin at the moment. Silver's been taken off. If that takes a pause, comes down a bit, I might start looking at getting more silver. So there you have it. US real yields dropped to minus 1%. Obviously telling a very different story from what the stock market suggests about this V recovery we're in. And again, 10-year Treasury yields plunged to its lowest in 234 years, says Deutsche Bank. That's basically since the founding of the United States. 10-year U.S. Treasury note yield touched an overnight low of 0.52% on Friday. So 0.52%, then we just saw over here that the real rates are minus 1% on the 10-year Treasuries. So that tells you where things are really at. The slide in the US bond market's benchmark yield is one for the history books. Deutsche Bank calculated the current nadir in the 10-year yield went back to 234 years. Nadir basically means low. So the current low in the 10-year yield went back 234 years. You can see here basically it's the founding of the United States and has not been this low ever, which means this is an extreme bubble territory. This goes to show you folks exactly where things are at in the real economy, I think. And now, of course, we've seen analysts and the Fed chairman and other Federal Reserve folks starting to realize that perhaps this is going to take much longer than it would be. I mean, if we had a minus 33% contraction, as we did in the last quarter 2, as we'll see, and if we're, say, minus 5%, or let's say minus 6% year-on-year GDP contraction, I mean, that's going to take 2 years of robust growth of 3% per annum, right? In order for us to get back to where we were at the end of last year. So this is going to be here for a while. Of course, we're going to start to see improvements slowly and surely, and perhaps we're out of the worst of it currently, but that remains to be seen. Nevertheless, the stock market is not reflecting the facts, and so for that reason, I'm not involved in the stock market just at the moment. Here's some specific news to one particular stock. Caterpillar North America machine sales crashed most since the financial crisis. And of course, Caterpillar could be seen as a canary in the construction coal mine, if you will. Heavy machinery giant Caterpillar reported earnings which came in a bit above sharply reduced expectations thanks to aggressive cost-cutting efforts, read mass layoffs, which helped the company make up for slowing sales. Total operating costs were 25% lower, the company said Friday in an earnings statement released before regular trading hours. The numbers outside of costs were dismal. Sales fell across the company's segments. Here you can see Caterpillar global machine sales by region year on year. It's just atrocious, really. More striking, however, was the devastation in North America, read US and Mexico, and I hope that includes Canada as well. We are in North America. Sales there, which plunged by a near record 40%, the biggest monthly drop since the financial crisis. That's really where the rubber hits the road, right? You can see it back here to the financial crisis. So things are not looking good, folks. Construction, of course, is down as well. And of course, the numbers you'll see as they come out will show improvements across the board, hopefully, if things don't continue to get worse. But I think perhaps we have hit the nadir, at least with the GDP contracting. So things will start to look positive from here, but make no mistake, it's positive from this deep valley we've hit, and we're just slowly crawling out. So if we've lost, say, 50% of sales, and then we gain 25%, we're only up marginally from where we were before, right? In order to, and folks know this as investors, if you've lost 50%, you have to make 100% in order to get back to even. So it's going to take some time. Seth Klarman says Fed is infantilizing investors in a surreal market, and that's Captain Obvious again, speaking some truth. Surreal doesn't even begin to describe this moment, Klarman said in a letter to investors. Psychology is surprisingly ebullient, even though business fundamentals are often dreadful, and ebullient means optimistic and positive. Investors are being infantilized by the relentless Federal Reserve activity, said Klarman, who runs hedge fund firm Baupost Group, which is quite well known. When the market has a tantrum, the benevolent Fed has a soothing yet enabling response. Baupost cash balance was 31% on June 30th, up from 26% disclosed in April. So you can see that a lot of the big hedge funds, the smart money, if you will, are by and large staying on the sidelines. And that's probably smart at this stage. I think at least until towards the end of the year, post-election, is when I might start looking to see where the stock market's at again. And of course, another interesting article about bond yields. Bond yields are sending a scary signal to stocks. There was no shortage of investors shrugging off the latest leg lower in U.S. Treasury bond yields, saying heavy central bank involvement in this part of the financial market makes such a move less of a signal that the economy or that equities are headed for trouble. That interpretation would be a mistake. 30-year yields have fallen from 1.66% on June 8th to a recent 1.19% as their prices climbed 9%. The question is whether stocks will follow again, and with a similar lag of about 7 weeks. That means if they will fall because the price is climbing, means the yield is falling, right? Of course, as we know, and so this be interesting to know what the real rate here would be. It perhaps be maybe only 0.5, 0.6%. The recent Treasury bond rally fits with our forecast that the recession has a second and more serious leg that will extend well into 2021 despite massive monetary and fiscal stimulus. The spread between 10-year Treasury inflation-protected security yields and conventional 10-year Treasury yields, which is what bond traders expect inflation to average over the life of their securities, recently dropped to a minuscule 0.5% from 2.5% in 2012. So expecting very low inflation in the interim, Treasury bond investors concentrate on inflation, Fed policy, and not much else. All this Fed-created liquidity hasn't found its way into the real economy, as shown by the collapse in the velocity of money. The stock market continues to be weak. The S&P 500 is up 0.5% for the year thanks to the strength of those 5 companies, which are Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Alphabet, which is Google. But the other 495 members are down about 5% on average, which is not much considering they had a 35% plunge in the S&P 500 in March there. Goldman Sachs calculates that if those 5 tech stocks were to fall 10%, the bottom 100 in the S&P 500 would need to jump 90% to offset the declines. Tech stocks have benefited from their relative independence from the nuts and bolts economy. Also, they've gotten a boost from homebound Americans who have replaced face-to-face contact with telecommunications. But they are very expensive and under fire from Washington and Europe for anti-competitive practices. And fads end. Recall the craze for Socks the Puppet and his dot-com buddies in the late 1990s. When that bubble broke, the Nasdaq Composite Index plunged 78%. So who knows if we'll have another huge plunge? I'm expecting one. I mean, we really have to get rid of the excess and the froth here in the market. It's just at insane levels, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. And of course, the Eurozone GDP plunged by a record 12.1% in the second quarter. So this is affecting all countries. Eurozone obviously holding up much better, perhaps even 3 times as better, because as you know, the US plunged by almost 33% in GDP for the second quarter. Friday's preliminary reading is the lowest since records began in 1995. German GDP fell by 10.1%, Italy sank by 12.4%, France's fell by 13.8%, and Spain shrank by 18.5%. And that's they were one of the worst hit, of course, and they shut down for weeks and weeks. The latest reading looks at the economic activity between April and June, which coincides with a period of time when many European governments had strict shutdowns that were slowly eased as the quarter progressed. So arguably, if these numbers are consistent and honest, then the approach the Europeans took has greatly exceeded what the United States did and saved their economy to a larger degree, I would argue. I mean, that's what the numbers seem to suggest. The European Central Bank forecast in June a drop of 8.7% in GDP for the euro area in 2020. So that might be higher than what we'll see in the US, but that remains to be seen. I'm not sure what the numbers are for the United States for the full year. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, here it talks about the 32.9% that the US suffered in quarterly growth year on year in the second quarter of GDP. That was just recently released. Okay, so let's take a look at the stock market. Now, of course, the stock market is closed, but let's see how the markets have done. As you know, I thought they would be down over the week. I think I will probably be wrong on that, but let's take a look. Okay, so the SPX, the SPY, is up actually 1.6%. As you can see, it did that primarily on the last day here, in the last afternoon session really is when it picked up. So if the SPY is up, then probably NASDAQ is too, but the Dow remains troubled, possibly. Okay, and here we have the NASDAQ up 3.6% on the week, which is phenomenal. So we'll see what happens next week. But of course, those are good numbers that came out from Alphabet and Amazon. And I think Facebook to some degree, Tesla as well, of course, was in there. Mind you, Tesla is not in the S&P, so that doesn't count. Excuse me for that error. But there we go, folks. So we have it. NASDAQ continues to remain in bubble territory. If we take a look at the year to date, it doesn't look so bubblish. But if you take a look at a 5-year, that does look quite troubling. And I think it's starting to weaken and see a rocket ship. Then it starts to topple to the right and toppling more to the right. So perhaps there's some left here, some more run-up left, but not much, I don't think. Of course, none of this is financial advice, so do your own due diligence. I'm just giving you my thoughts to share. And of course, the Dow is down 0.1%, so there you have it. Let's take a look at cryptocurrencies. Those are being traded. Let's see how they're doing. Okay, so we have 348 billion, which is up 3.7%. 7,762 coins, so those are up a little bit. Bitcoin continues to do well, climbing 3.2%. Ethereum as well, 3.3%. Or XRP up 8% in 24 hours. Bitcoin SV up 9%. So a lot of green on the board today. Stellar up 7.3% again, so that's terrific. NEO up 5%, and Zcash, well, look at that, 15%. So interesting to see where the top coins are at. Let's check out the online oracle. So of course we've been talking about all the GDPs contracting in Europe and the United States for the past quarter 2. Europeans, as you will recall, are expecting to see a 8%, I think, 8.7% drop for the whole GDP in 2020. We don't know what the numbers are for the United States, so I thought I would ask the online oracle. Will the US GDP contract more than 5% year on year for 2020? I believe it will. It is certain. Okay, there you have it. The online oracle agrees with me. I think the US GDP contraction will probably be, I would suggest 7-8% perhaps even more. Between 5-10% would be my guess. And again, it's a guess, not financial advice. So there you have it, folks. Just a brief overview of what the markets are looking like and where they were at past week. They were up primarily, so we'll see what happens next week and into the rest of the next couple months or few months as we head towards elections. In the meantime, I hope you're enjoying your summer. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate your time, spending time with me, and your comments down below as we try to learn from each other and help each other to build better lives and become healthier, wealthier, and wise. And remember, above all else, Dom Spiro Spero.